Hi everyone, so this is my first video in Math Biotechs. Today I'm going to talk about deoxyribonucleic acid, which is also known as DNA. So let's get started. So DNA is basically made of nucleotides, and each nucleotide contains one phosphate group, one pentose sugar, and one nitrogenous base. Let's look at the things that made our nucleotides. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the pentose sugar we have in our DNA. So this pentose sugar is consisted of 5 carbons and it is known as deoxyribose. Let's look at why it is called deoxyribose. So as you can see, the formula for deoxyribose is C5H10O5, and this is the structure of the pentose sugar, and these carbons are numbered 1 2 3 4 5, and we can see that in carbon 2 there is no oxygen present, so that is why this sugar is known as deoxyribose, because it lacks one oxygen in carbon number 2. Let's look at the nitrogenous bases we have. So there are 2 types. One is purine and another is pyrimidine. So the difference between these two is purines have 2 rings present in their structures and pyrimidines have only 1 ring. So the nitrogenous bases we have in our DNA are basically adenine and guanine from purines and thymine and cytosines from pyrimidines. So here we have to remember one thing, that thymine is a pyrimidine which is only present in DNA. Alright, let's look at our phosphate group. So this is the phosphate group we have in our DNA. So this is one full nucleotide structure, and we can see that in one nucleotide there are 3 things. One is the phosphate group, the other is the pentose sugar, and the other is the nitrogenous base. So we can see that in the pentose sugar, the first carbon is joined to the nitrogenous base, the 5th carbon is joined to one phosphate group, and the 3rd carbon is joined to another phosphate group. So we can say that we have 3 things that make up our nucleotide, which are pentose sugar, nitrogenous base, and phosphate group. Here we have adenine as our nitrogenous base, and the nitrogenous base joins the first carbon of the pentose sugar, and the phosphate group joins to the 5th and the 3rd carbon of the pentose sugar. So let's look at a bit more about the double-stranded DNA. So there are 2 strands in our DNA which are anti-parallel to each other, which means they are parallel but they go to the opposite directions of each other, and they always go from the 5' end to the 3' end in both of the strands. Let's look at the bonds which are present in our double-stranded DNA. So there are 2 bonds. One is the hydrogen bond and another is the phosphodiester bond. So the hydrogen bond is present between 2 nitrogenous bases from each strand. So one pyrimidine is always attached to another purine, and in our DNA, thymine is one of the pyrimidines, remember, and it's only present in DNA. So thymine binds to adenine, and there are only 2 hydrogen bonds between thymine and adenine, and there are 3 hydrogen bonds present between guanine and cytosine. So here guanine is the purine and cytosine is the pyrimidine. So there will be no bond between cytosine and adenine and thymine and guanine, and also there will be no bond between cytosine and thymine, because of course they both are purines and these two, both of them are pyrimidines. And here we can see that one pentose sugar is bound to two phosphate groups, and this bond is known as phosphodiester bond. There is one more thing to our DNA, which is our DNA is negatively charged. So why is that? It's because here we can see that in one nucleotide structure we have this phosphate group present. And so if one nucleotide binds to another nucleotide, as you can see here, we can see that there is one oxygen present which has this negative charge on it, and this is the reason why our DNA is negatively charged. So let's look at our double-stranded DNA a bit more closely. So here we can see that we have two anti-parallel strands, and they both go from the 5' to 3' directions in both of the sides. Our double-stranded DNA is also known as double helix DNA, and these two strands are joined via thymine, adenine, and cytosine and guanine. Let's not forget that thymine is a pyrimidine which is only present in DNA. Thank you everyone for watching my video. I hope to make some more videos. Until then, keep loving science and take care. Stay safe. Thank you.